Join the revolution starting inside. An instrumental part of Agora worldwide. Agora worldwide. Agora worldwide. Counter economics. Agorist strip. Black market click. Move a quick flip. Can't regulate this. Agorist strip. Black market click. Move a quick flip. Can't regulate this. Agorist.
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 Nexus. Agorist.
Agorist.
It's Brandon with the Agorist Nexus podcast. I've got my great co-host Dag. How you doing, Dag?
Hey man, I'm doing pretty good. You and the audience gonna have to forgive my morning voice today. Maybe people like it. Maybe it's sexier. I don't know. Maybe it's just terrible.
No, I think it's pretty nice. But
oh, smooth.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I've got weird tastes, I guess.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, man. So we're gonna do some quick little news updates today, huh?
Yeah. And then I want to say a couple other things too. But before we get into all that, you know what it is. Presearch, decentralized search engine, earn cryptos search, amazing project, and I mean, just the improvements I've seen in the last year from them have really given me a lot of hope. And I mean,
it's just constant.
It's just been amazing.
Yeah, it's like every week, constant. Month or something. I'm like, oh look, there's some. It's just getting more like a, it doesn't feel like a new project anymore. Right? Like it's a fucking thing, that's out there and people are using and we're using it and it works with everything. And yeah, man, it's really exciting. And just the fact that there are so much improvements, it's like, okay, they're putting effort into this shit. It's going to be really, hopefully something to rival Google would be amazing. But even if it was just a small fraction, that would still be amazing. So, yeah,
I think it's still amazing even now, but
because
they've got some news coming up too. I don't know what it is, but I hear they've got a lot of like big things coming. So it'll be really exciting. And if you guys want to hit our affiliate link for us and tell them that we're sponsoring, that would be amazing. But one thing I really want to get off my chest here is that I debate I do some like keyboard warrior stuff occasionally and debate, or I'll talk with friends or something online. And I think like my main gripe about today is that like everyone, and it's hard, right? Like everyone says, okay, to go off of like whether it's COVID information or whatever it is, it's like, okay, well, you have to go off of these, you have to go off of my sources. And if you refute that, you have to make claims and you have to find evidence against that. And I understand that part. But my whole thing about it is the claims that they're making didn't have evidence to begin with. And then, of course, their evidence and their sources are all from companies that are owned by the same people, and their sources are owned by the same people, and their fact checkers are owned by the same people. And we did an episode called "One Company to Rule Them All," and that's kind of an eye opener. But I think what I'm trying to say is that it's hard to like sit here and be like, okay, this is the evidence for it, and these are the sources, and it's like, okay, well, and I think Saul Mayweather put it best. He had a recent tweet that said, I don't know if I can remember the exact words of it, but it was something along the lines of like, believing in Cuban health statistics. I'll see if I can pull up the exact tweet, but yeah, it's like do you guys believe in helping Cuban health statistics, or Chinese incarceration rates, like are these the sources that we're going to go off of? Like,
yeah, it's like
it's like, well, and then they say, well, you have to go off of some kind of number. right? You have to go off of some kind of number. Like, so I'm going to go off of these numbers, but I'm like, well, those numbers are false. So like, it's not that I like want to like not debate you or anything. It's just like, I know that those numbers are false. So,
yeah, you know, sometimes there's a lot of great points there, and it's like a lot of times, yeah, like what you said is all true. You know, okay, they're sponsored by, you know, the science is sponsored by whatever company, or they might have some other reason. But sometimes even by like their own admission, it's just like totally random. Like the 6 foot thing, they were like, yeah, well, you know, we were trying to get 10 feet, but we didn't think people would go for it. So 6 was just an easy number, and this and that. There's no actual scientific whatever behind it. Now they're like, oh, 3 feet's fine, you know. And so it's just you know, even by their own admission, it's just like bullshit. But it almost makes me, it's like people just need like some sort of, it's like they need to feel like they have some sort of a hard grasp on something. So it's like they need a number. I mean, it's almost like, you know, look throughout like history, even things like, you know, like it's always like tarot or, you know, reading tea leaves, or some people need to feel like they have some sort of grasp on shit. And I don't know, maybe that's like, maybe there's like a drive in people to just like, they need a fucking number, whether it's true or not. They need something to go off of. They need something so they can tell you like, you're doing wrong because you're not following this rule. This is all I know. This is what the experts tell me. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
yeah. And I guess to add to that, it's like, it's really frustrating because to begin with, they were wrong. Fauci came out and said, okay, you know, the masks don't work. There's unintended consequences with them. They may block a droplet or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then months later, or not even like weeks later, it was like, okay, we need masks because of the science.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Well, and didn't they say at the time, like, you know, like, we just need to we needed to save the PPE for the healthcare workers. So that's why we said that. And it's like, okay, and if that's the route you want to go, like, that's fine. But now you're an admitted liar, you know? So
Yeah.
like,
so now everything you say,
yeah,
exactly. So to me, it's like that source is like debunked. Like, you know, to me, it's like, that's not a source we can trust because
they're willing to lie to you, you know?
Yeah. And they've lied to us multiple times. The CDC has lied to us. The WHO has lied to us. Fauci has lied to us. So it's like, you know, you guys want to bring up all, you know, a lot of people want to bring up all these numbers and say, oh, you know, there's all this stuff. And, you know, I'm like, well, I can't go off of that source. I can't go off of those numbers. Well, those are the only numbers we have. Well, you know, it's not a correct source. Like, we can't use those numbers. I'm sorry. Like, I don't.
It's like my roommate says, you know, they talk about however many people have died from this. And, you know, I don't want to cast light on people who have died. That's obviously unfortunate, you know, for whatever reason it was. But he's like, but you know what? I still sit in fucking traffic every day. So as far as I'm concerned, like, you know, I don't know. Those are my numbers. You know, everything's still the fucking same. People aren't fucking dropping dead. Nothing seems different to me as far as people dying versus any other time that I've ever been alive, you know? So, you know, their numbers only mean so much to my reality. Yeah, just the general unhealthy living practices that have been incentivized by, you know, all this nonsense, you know, don't go outside, you know, blah, blah, blah. People eating junk food delivered to their house. You know, the list goes on, of course. And then not to mention the mental health issues I mean, that's been the biggest thing that I've seen personally with people I know is just the fucking fear in their eyes, man, that you see over their mask, you know, and they're all avid news watchers, you know, but that's really disturbing. And then of course the children, right? Like masking kids and shit is fucking awful. You know, that's really disturbing. Definitely much more damage to the virus itself.
Yeah, it's like think about the children. It's like, well,
please,
the kids
somebody
can't
think
even
of the children.
Yeah, the kids can't even get this thing. So I mean, like, why do they have to fucking wear them? Like, you know, I don't believe anybody really needs to wear a mask, and Fauci was right that one time when he said, it doesn't really work. People fidget with it and all that stuff. So the Saul Mayweather tweet, which was bold, by the way, which was the people who believe CDC COVID numbers are the same people who believe Cuban health statistics. That's like tweet of the year almost, in my opinion. But
bro, they had great,
because I've been trying I've been trying to like say something like that without, I've been trying to say something like that without saying something like that. So it's just like, it really struck a chord with me. And yeah, it's like, well, we have to go by these numbers. And it's like, well, all those numbers are propaganda. So it's frustrating trying to like debate and talk to people about, is all this stuff necessary when every single source and all of the information that has been given is just like got ties to, big pharma and all of these conflicts of interest. And yeah, please check out the One Company Rules Them All episode to really see what we're talking about. Like every single company is pretty much owned by like one company. Well, it's like three companies, pretty like, the saying, 6 media companies pretty much control all the other media, like all of the media and stuff. Well, it's like in the US, that is. Well, it's even worse than that. It's not just like 6 media companies control all the media. It's 3 companies pretty much control almost every company. And then
including those 6 media companies.
Yeah, including those 6 media companies. And then if you look at like who controls these 3 companies, it's like, okay, you've got Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street, but then like they're all owners of each other. And then of course Vanguard's like the biggest owner of all 3 of them. And then Vanguard's a private company, so you can't see like who runs it or who's behind it. I was looking at like who's behind it, and there's a guy named John. Oh God, I can't remember his name, but anyways, he died in like 2019. So like we can't really see like who owns or operates or controls this thing. Yeah. So anyways, it's everything's a puppet show that's controlled, and it's that's a big reason why it's been so hard to see the truth. And but yeah,
start growing your own food,
is
guys.
What it seems.
Whether or not like it directly matters, it just feels, because it's like, what do you do, right? When it's just like, okay, let's say there's a big, shadow government and it's all puppets and this and that and the other. It's like, what the fuck do you do? It's like, well, I don't know. I guess I can just make sure that no matter what happens, me and my family are fed. That just seems like the most practical thing, at least to me. Is, get your shit right, man. Get your prepper game up, all that, man. Just be, be able to be a little,
focus on power and food and well water. And
it's about, I think it's the closest thing to you that you can control, and probably the most important if shit really ever pops off, or if there really are these people in charge and they decide they don't want you to have food anymore. That's happened throughout history several times. So, I don't know. That's just always the conclusion I come to when I start fretting about all this stuff. So it's just like, well, I don't know. It just seems like the only thing I can do is just get more self-sustainable.
Yeah. Focus on yourself, right? Like, I think that really makes the biggest impact on like liberty and freedom, is when we're so self-sufficient, it doesn't matter what they do. We're just fine. So
yeah, well, like an argument I like to make fun of all the time, although there really is a lot of truth to it, is, people are like, the people who are like pro, like, universal basic income or whatever, because they're like, well, freedom isn't just about being able to, it's about, having the freedom, like the financial freedom to live a happy life, blah, 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 and all the things that we don't really apply to freedom. But like, that really there really is some truth to the fact that it's like, if you have your shit together and you don't have to worry about your food, and you're more sustainable, then you do have more freedom to, I don't know, even just on the fun sense, explore other things in life that you want to. But yeah, and you just don't have to worry about that as much, and that's very freeing. And just all the other benefits that provides you. So I don't know if I had much more of a grand point than that, but
hey guys, quick pause here to tell you about our sponsor, Devault Cryptocurrency. Ticker symbol DVT is a low cap coin with a market cap around 900,000. So there could be room for opportunity here. Not financial advice, but we really like this project.
Yeah, the Devault core wallet is one of the best I've ever seen. Very user friendly, super easy to use with cold staking rewards. So it's like getting interest. They're working on privacy with Terraform, also DeFi to decentralize and replace financial institutions.
So go ahead and check them out over at devault.cc and get you a Devault core wallet today. Also, be sure to check out the show notes to find exchanges that they are traded on. With that said, let's get back to the show.
Anyhow, do we want to get into some of these news stories, or?
Yeah, we've got some news stories that we want to pop off here. I think the first one that's pretty exciting is the well, I don't want to say exciting, but
I was like, wow, that didn't come out good.
Yeah, not exciting,
right,
but it definitely raises the hairs on your arm, or can. And the article that we're talking about is Austria plans to approve lockdown for the unvaccinated, and this is from Reuters.
It's from Reuters yesterday. It looks like it's supposed to go into effect on Sunday, but yeah, they're actually gonna have lockdowns for the unvaccinated. They've had extremely strict like vax passports so far, but yeah, they're which basically means, let's see, what did it say? Hold on, another one here. You can't leave your house except for very specific purposes, which I am trying to find so I can accurately relay them to you guys.
And this is November 12th. The article came out. And it looks like this goes into effect November 14th. So they didn't really give people very much notice at all.
Yeah, they're basically saying it's because of whatever intensive care or whatever units. It says it's okay. Yeah, once 30% of intensive care beds, and I might be reading this from an article they put out on the 11th. Reuters did, but under an incremental government plan, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, once 30% of intensive care beds are occupied by COVID-19 patients, they don't specify if that means people with COVID or, you know what I mean, just have it or sick with it or whatever. But the current level is at 20% and rising fast as of the 11th. So that's why that's their trigger mark or whatever you want to call it for them doing that. But yeah, they're saying whatever cases are spiking, whatever that means. And they also go on here to say that the Netherlands is expected to announce a 3-week partial lockdown. We started talking about that before we were recording. I thought the Netherlands was one of the cool countries that didn't do any of this shit. I'm not just thinking of Sweden, am I? Is the Netherlands actually kind of gay? I thought Netherlands was cool.
They were good, they were one of the best ones for part of 2020, and then all of a sudden they went tyrannical.
Oh, okay.
So it's you think some countries are good, and then all of a sudden it's that country's not good anymore. So it's hard to kind of keep track of which countries are more liberty oriented, because they change almost overnight. So.
And it's just with so many things you'll have and I find this with companies and who their views and shit too. But same thing with a lot of times governments. It's half the shit they're great on, but then the other half they're terrible on. You'll find a country or group or political party or whatever that's the exact opposite. You know what I mean? So it's you look at Republicans and Democrats, right? And it's half the shit that the one is actually like good on, right? The other one's obviously the opposite, so it's like there was a when Gary Johnson was running, I think it was I don't know, fucking Samantha Bee or one of those people was like interviewing him, and she's like, I absolutely love exactly half the stuff you say, and it's so funny because you could probably say like a Democrat would say that about a libertarian and a Republican would say that about a libertarian, right? A political LP libertarian when I say this, but like, half the stuff, right? I'm totally into, and the other half is terrible. But it just seems like that with these two. It's like, oh, cool, yeah, Holland's got legal weed, and red light districts, but you can't use them without a mask and vaccine. So, tough break. And I actually don't know if that's the case. I'm just being funny.
Yeah, but it's
their
point.
Yeah, but they're blaming it on the far right Freedom Party. Of course, all the vaccine hesitancy is because of the damn far right Freedom Party. Although it says about 65% of the country is fully vaccinated, which I don't know, dude. I think when you get to over half of a population is fully vaccinated against something that over half is probably already had, it's just like, I just don't think you can make the claim that it's unvaccinated people causing this shit, No,
it's obviously the fully vaccinated people are getting this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we can find a source, but I'll look for something, but yeah. And you could just take a look at the COVID numbers. As soon as people started getting the vaccine, COVID cases started to spike, and it's like, well, there you go. You're introducing COVID to all these people, right? So
well, yeah, it's that, and it's also that those people have the freedom to go out and mingle amongst each other and spread it around. So even if it's just this, even if it's just saline they're injecting in people, just with the idea that then they're allowed to go out and interact, of course they're going to be the ones fucking spreading it, right? Like, that even just makes sense on its face. So yeah, it's obviously just a punishment, and they even say that in these articles that the chancellor or whoever the fuck it is like, this will help encourage the other people, the unvaccinated, to go get the shot, so they're not, they don't say that part quiet. Our buddy Anthony Samaroff, he's been in Austria, and for like the last week or so tweeting about it. Yeah, it went from if you wanted to go out to eat, he could show proof of a negative test, and then it got to the point where without a vaccine, couldn't even go out to eat, couldn't do anything. He's had a hard time, getting around, flying internationally and everything. But yeah, this is word on the street is this is actually happening. So yeah, man. Yeah, pretty crazy.
We have a source. We have our own little source on this. So
yeah, we actually have somebody in country right now.
Yeah, on the ground. Yeah. So we're like verifying this. We're like verifying this article.
Yeah, they are actually being pretty lame about how they're treating people. So so I don't know. It just goes on to say, other places are going to be a lot of Eastern Europe and Western Europe places are going to be enacting lockdowns and this and that. So, look forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it pretty much seems like we were right. Like, for winter, they're going to pretty much reenact all of the stuff that we hoped that they wouldn't. And, it is what it is, unfortunately. I think the biggest way that we can really fight this thing is pretty much just through non-compliance. Like, you're not going to be able to fight this thing politically, because that really hasn't worked.
I don't believe nobody is really place. But second off, how the fuck do you even do it? Like, we go cast a vote. Okay.
Yeah, nobody has solved these COVID lockdowns politically. So
it's too slow moving of a machine, if nothing else. Even if it were effective, it'd take years. This obviously is something that has happened, lost so much ground in not even 2 years. It's insane.
And I'm writing an article. I'm writing an article on this, and I actually add that topic. Like, politically, nothing's politically been done to combat COVID and these COVID lockdowns. I mean, they've pretty much have been able to do whatever they wanted. So it's the only thing that has worked and that has stopped this has been action and non-compliance. So really, like, you know, time and time again, it's like, okay, agorism is like the solution, guys. Like, you know, there's not going to be, you know, Trump 2024 is not going to save us on this. Like,
but it is going to be
give
hilarious.
Me a break. Yeah, it's going to be entertaining to say the least. So we've got another article here.
We're going to go on to the lettuce one.
Yeah. It's from the University of California, and we'll have links down below to grow and eat your own vaccines.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it is actually, I mean, I do have to say that, as like, of course, creepy as everything is in this regard, like, this is actually really like cool and interesting. But of course, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, for legit medical purposes, not like we talk about, it's like, it's not that I don't trust vaccines. I don't trust vaccines in the current environment of, it's not a market, right? So this kind of
the whole market's controlled by these like,
yeah, I mean,
mega corporations that are in bed with government.
Could
so it's like,
mRNA technology be some of the most amazing medical technology to fucking cure, you know, cancer and shit? Yeah, you know, but this shit for a fucking cold is terrifying. You know, definitely when it's forced and pushed, then it's like, okay, I can't fucking trust it. But anyhow, basically they're saying that they're coming up with ways to grow, you know, mRNA technology and vaccines. I'm assuming it can be used for things other than vaccines, so I don't just want to say vaccines. It says that messenger RNA and mRNA DNA, but anyhow, they can grow it in plants and have plants produce it. And the benefit of this versus a traditional vaccine is that it doesn't have to be refrigerated, so it can be, you know, transported or maybe even grown on site. I don't know if it's something that would come from a seed, or if they have to actually they insert a thing into the plant to change the DNA, some DNA carrier thing. I don't know, but yeah. So they're saying, oh yeah, and people could grow this shit, you know, grow medicine, which, you know, yeah, it would be dope, right? If I could just have like a medicine cabinet full of seeds and I can grow this thing and it treats this ailment, like, to just have it, like, that would be fucking incredible. But, you know, again, as concerns previously,
living yeah, I mean, living in a huge technocracy is, you know, I could imagine like seasteaders like voluntarily creating all of these great things, but when it's like we're living in a big technocracy that's trying to like force vaccinate you, it's like, yeah, maybe you know, I would be supportive of this in like terms of like free market, but like you said, we just don't have that. So it's like this actually kind of looks creepy. Let me read the first
sure,
the first line of this thing. The future, the article starts out with the future of vaccines may look like eating a salad than getting a shot in the arm. UC Riverside scientists are studying whether they can turn edible plants like lettuce into mRNA vaccine factories. Messenger RNA or mRNA technology used in COVID-19 vaccines work by teaching ourselves to recognize and protect us against infectious diseases. So yeah, and it's also kind of creepy too, because it's like, are they going to be able to grow food and give us vaccines through food that
without our knowledge?
Yeah, without our knowledge or consent, like, you know, probably. So
that was my big concern with this too, is that, yeah, it's like they could just slip anything in. But here's why this would never work in America. I'll tell you why. Because most Americans would much rather take a shot in the arm than sit down and eat a fucking salad. Just facts, you know. It's because it does say you'd have to eat like a whole head of lettuce, which, like, I don't know, man. Like, I mean, I like a good salad as much as anybody, but a whole head of fucking lettuce is a lot of lettuce. to just sit down
Well,
and eat.
I'm really liking Mexico more and more. And it's there's another article, and maybe we can go over it. It's like it said that like 65 or 70% of the rainwater in the South is like Roundup. So like it just like 70% of the rainwater down there is just like it just rains Roundup. So
That'd be if I find something on that, send me that. I'd be interested to see that.
yeah, I'll see if I can find it right now. But yeah, when I saw that article, I was like, holy shit. And another thing too is like Mexico, the all the supply chains and stuff are local here. So it's like I'm not concerned about the supply chain crisis. Like I haven't even noticed a difference in terms of like shortages or price increases. To me, things are pretty much the same thing, the same way they were when I got here in June, like the same exact way. I think the only thing that has changed is like a liter of like some of their like agua frescas. I like saying liter because it makes me sound like that super trooper cop. Let me get a liter of cola. But
goddamn liter of cola.
but yeah, I think the only thing that's changed is like a liter of these aguas are like 5 pesos more. That's like the only difference that I've seen. So let me see here. But yeah.
So I don't have. I had one other little thing that I don't know if you saw this. I thought it was just floating around Twitter. I guess there's a whole interview or something with him that I want to listen to. But it's Bill Gates, and he's doing some interview, and he's talking about how like the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines don't work very well, and it's not really the vaccine they wanted, or something. Which I don't know. I mean, obviously isn't shocking, like for us, like, we like do that, but yeah, I don't know. I think I might settle in and listen to the whole interview this week. Maybe I'll report back to y'all if there's anything good. I don't know. I hate his voice.
All right, let's take a quick second to shout out Agorist Acres seeds. AgoristAcres.com stocks a variety of seeds for your garden or homestead. They also have really cool packaging instead of those silly paper envelopes.
Buy seeds with crypto, support the counter economy, and become self-sustaining today. Agorist Acres offers fast shipping, so you can get started right away.
Make sure you use code Nexus10 at the checkout for 10% off of your orders. Also, they will donate a portion of the sale to Agorist Nexus, helping to bring you all the great content you expect. And all right, let's get on with it.
Here it is. I found the article too, and yeah, we can probably play some of the Bill Gates stuff, but the article I was talking about earlier with the Roundup. Let me see if this article can load. Weed killer found in 75% of air rain samples.
Okay, yeah, I was like, well, you said 75% of rainwater. I was like, well, my grass is still alive, so it's at least some water in there.
Yeah,
so, go ahead.
You're like, yeah, I do want a source on that, Brandon.
Well, I'm just kidding. Well, like the whole acid rain thing turned out to be hoax, but I do know that, yeah, Roundup glyphosate is a huge fucking problem. So yeah, I'd like to hear about it if it's a thing. Good luck, Austria.
Yeah, poor Austria. And the thing that's really scary about Austria is like, what's gonna come next? Which countries are going to implement this, and how do we fight it? And I think the only thing that has worked is massive non-compliance. Like if everybody just says, I'm not following that rule, that's not going to happen. And they start punishing companies that do implement them. I think I really think that's the only way to fight the machine. So
yeah, and it's it really sucks because I definitely feel for somebody who, let's say you run a small business, you really get put in a tough situation, you know what I mean? You have your whole life in that shit. And it's like, you don't want to risk, losing it because you're not complying with whatever, so it's definitely a tough situation, I feel, for those people. So with that in mind, what I'm about to say, I'm sorry, but like, yeah, man, it does come down to like non-compliance and making it economically uncomfortable for people to deal with that shit. So if I go somewhere like, when I go to my doctor and the fucking hospital makes me put on a mask, like, do you have a mask? No, you provide. No, you give me one. Like, you pay for this shit. You know what I mean? I'm going to make this as expensive for you as I can. So hopefully you go, okay, fuck this shit. You know what I mean? Because I really think a lot of that is what's going to make it real for people, is when they can't afford to deal with this shit anymore. So yeah, man, I mean, and hats off to any business that says, fuck y'all, we're not complying with this shit. Like, that's really, what it's going to take is people standing up and doing that. And that's tough. I mean, I have it easy. The businesses I run, I don't have customers that come in. I don't have employees, just complying with this shit isn't even a thought on my mind, So, I don't know. I don't know if I had a grand point to that, but that's, I don't know. I feel for those guys, but yeah, man, that's where I agree with you is what it's going to take. We just have to fucking do it. I mean, it's just like what's the old Larkin Rose video, the tiny dot, when he shows like, okay, here, this tiny dot is government employees and here, this giant mass is us, it's like, even like the ATF only has a couple thousand agents. Like, they just can't do what they have to do. They can't regulate what they're supposed to be regulating now. When they add more regulation, it just stretches them out thinner. So the more we make them work, I mean, that's kind of one of the big theories in, agorism is, fuck, man, make it economically impossible for them to enforce this bullshit, So
yeah, absolutely.
That's what I got.
Yeah, that's what I got too. I don't know why this article that I wanted to look at, it's not loading. You think you can play the Bill Gates
Yeah, let me see what I can do. We got just a couple minutes left here. Let me see if I can do just to make sure we get the audio good. Let me see if I can do a screen share real quick.
Economic damage, the deaths, it's been completely horrific. And I would expect that will lead the R&D budgets to be focused on things we didn't have today. We didn't have vaccines that block transmission. We got vaccines that help you with your health, but they only slightly reduce the transmissions. We need a new way of doing the vaccine.
So yeah, that's just a little 27 second thing. I guess there was a couple notable points from the whole interview. But yeah, I don't know. Him generally saying that they don't work very well, I guess, is the gist. A lot of the defenders in the comments are like, no, he's saying they don't work as well as they would have liked. That's not the same thing as saying they don't work. They're still great. Don't doubt it. Don't doubt it. I can't be wrong. Please, God, don't let me be wrong.
Yeah, I think and this is Billy Gates, guys. I mean, Billy Gates is saying that they just don't work well. So it's like, I think sooner or later the cognitive dissonance has to go away, right? But
people are just settling in on the fact it's going to be like a flu shot. You get the fucking thing every 6 months, and just to reiterate your point from the very beginning of this fucking show, dude, that as the narrative keeps changing, right? You and I remember what they said in the beginning of this shit. One shot, it's not a booster shot deal. It's going to do this, it's going to do that. And it hasn't done those things yet. These motherfuckers still believe what they, well, no, but it lessens the damage or does this or that, or does, but it's the same motherfucking people telling you that told you that this wasn't even going to be the way it is, that this was going to fix it. This was going to solve it. It was going to be great. You know what I mean? So again, you're believing known liars consistently, and that is foolish. That is foolish. And it sucks because even if they're still, let's say they're even still right about 98% of the shit they say, you know what I mean? You just can't, you have to take whatever advice. Okay, so just real quick, it's like when you read like a newspaper article these days and like, you know, it's bullshit, but based on how it's worded, you can kind of pick out, okay, I think here's what's actually true because of the way they're avoiding this topic, you know what I mean? Or something, you know, it's kind of like that, you know, you got to be able to read what they're saying. But yeah, it makes it where you can't just believe them, you know what I mean, ever, because they're fucking known liars.
Yeah, and time again they've lied. So it's like, well, I can't trust that source because the source has, you know, I can cite how many times, you know, I can say, you know, a bunch of times they've lied about a particular topic, and it's like I can't trust them on that topic.
Yeah, or if you want to say they were just wrong. Let's say it wasn't even a lie about like the effectiveness of the vaccine. Let's say they thought it was going to be better. Okay. But again, that just goes to show you they're not always fucking right, and you can't fucking always just believe the experts. So
yeah, what was it at the beginning? Like 98% effective or something?
Yeah,
97%.
What was it at the beginning? It was 14 days to flatten the curve. That's what it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
So, here we fucking are. So. Oh fuck! All right, man. You ready to get out of here?
Yeah, I think so. This roundup article is not loading. So, anyways,
we'll get it figured out. I'll look into it. Maybe we'll do an episode about some of that shit. I'm always down for an environmentalist episode, anyhow.
It's www.cornucopia.org/2014/03/roundup-weed killer-found-75. We'll put the link in the description here, and I'll send this to Dag, and if you guys join our Keybase, one of my buddies will post it to Keybase right now. So yeah, we'll have that there. And yeah, you got a quote, Dag?
Market anarchism is the doctrine that the legislative, adjunctive, and protective functions unjustly and inefficiently monopolized by the coercive state should be entirely turned over to the voluntary, consensual forces of market society. And that's Roderick T. Long.
Horse Nexus out.
Peace.